Welcome to video number 7. Pick up again with motor vehicles on campus. Again, you can refer to the ASBA policies that were discussed earlier. Um, your new wording here: all student vehicles must have a parking permit that must be displayed at all times. Student is parking without a valid permit. Student will lose all privileges at the discretion of the administration. Once you arrive on campus, you're not allowed to leave. We've discussed that. So please make sure that once you're here, you're in the mode to stay here. So once you're on campus, you should vacate your vehicle and enter school immediately. You cannot hang out in the parking lots with your buddies or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever inside your vehicles. If you are doing that, then you will have the opportunity to gain a consequence for that. So again, no expectation of privacy in your parked vehicles. Bullying policy, make sure to refer to the ASBA board stuff, but a minimum consequence will be a verbal warning. Maximum consequence will be 10 days out of school suspension or recommendation to for expulsion or placement success, and contact authorities if need be, and contact parents. Bus discipline and behavior. Again, remember this is a privilege that the school offers the bus, but if you cannot act right, then you may lose that privilege. Some things to follow at the bus stop: arrive on time, stay out of the street, respect the property at the stop location. Student must get on and off at their designated location, and a student must cross the road. If a student must cross the road to board a bus, they must cross in front of the bus for safety reasons. Do not cross behind the bus because your driver cannot see you. When you're boarding the bus, wait until the bus stops. Go directly to your seat. On the bus, stay seated. Keep your heads, arms, and hands inside the bus. Do not throw objects. Talk softly. Students, you can talk, but understand once you start getting loud and the people in front of you start getting loud and the people 10 rows in front of you, they're loud, then it's entirely too loud. So keep your tone down, please. Follow the directions of the bus driver at all time. They're the one in charge of getting you to and from where you're going safely. Again, no eating or drinking at any time while riding the bus. And then once you're leaving the bus, stay seated until the bus stops. Do not push or shove. If a student must cross the road when exiting the bus, you must do that in front of the bus. Students who ride a bus other than their own must bring a signed note by a parent. Notes must be turned in to the office before lunch on the day they will ride the bus. Any note not turned in after lunch may not be accepted. So, students, there's a reason for this, and we've got to verify these notes. So, at the bus, if you say you forgot to have something signed, your bus driver is going to call me to the bus, and I'm going to tell you you must exit the bus and go call a parent and have them come pick you up because you cannot ride another bus without some signed note from a parent, which is then validated with the office. Minimum consequences for any actions, warnings, maximum will be bus suspensions for the rest of the year. Chewing gum, food items, drinks may be allowed in the classroom at the discretion of each classroom teacher. This privilege may be revoked by the administrator, teacher, or staff at any time. Food items and drinks are not allowed in the Fine Arts Center auditorium at any time. Food items and drink will not be allowed on the buses. So we are giving the teacher the authority on what they're going to allow to come into their class. And then the fine arts building and the buses, food and drink is prohibited. We've already talked about the substance abuse screening, the methods, and the consequences for that. Westside High School administrator's discipline statement. Administrators may alter the severity of a student's punishment based on circumstances and other conditions. Do not have to provide any warning for student misconduct and do not have to follow the order of consequences for students violating any of the rules of conduct. Successive violation of different rules contained in the handbook will result in increasingly severe punishment and/or placement at alternative school success. A warning will not be issued each time or any time a different rule is violated by a student. So, students, if you just completely lose your stuff and you're breaking one rule after another, each of those consequences will compound on your consequences. PDA, you're not to hold hands or have close physical contact of any kind. Hugging, kissing, arm locking, hand holding, any of that is not appropriate at school or school events. Failure to comply with reasonable expectations of school staff will lead to disciplinary action. Students, when I see you, I will remind you. I'll try to be funny. I try to be funny. Some of you don't find it that way, but to break you up. But I don't have any tolerance for having to tell the same students over and over again. That's not just with PDA; that's for everything. But hold your hand holding and whatever until after school. You can love them later. Minimum consequence will be a verbal warning. Maximum in-school suspension. Sexual contact while on school campus. Students, understand you cannot be touching others inappropriately. You cannot have any kind of sexual gratification here on campus. That is completely inappropriate. This policy was placed in last year's edition of the student handbook, and it's there for a reason. But minimum consequence, 5 days out of school suspension. Maximum consequence, 10 days out of school with a recommendation for expulsion or placement at success. Contact authorities and contact parents. Again, I can't believe that we have to have this in here, but obviously we've had issues before, and this is something that you have sexual contact on campus. There is a specific policy that we will follow. All right, the dress code. Dress code is the same for the most part as last year. Dollar bill length above the bend of the knee for your garments, your shorts, your skirts, whatever. The exception to that is the cheerleading uniforms that they will wear on game days. You have to wear shoes, so no bare feet. Inappropriate tops that are low cut and have cleavage showing, bare midriffs or your stomachs. Muscle shirts, backless tops, baggy or saggy pants, oversized baggy or saggy pants or skirts, oversized clothing. These garments must be worn no lower than the hip line, so no sagging. And then no undergarments or no underwear visible. Apparel must be apparel or material covering the head inside or school buildings that is prohibited, so no hats. You have to keep your hoods off. And again, that's one of my things that I don't like telling the same people over and over again to get their hoods off or to take their beanies off or to take their hats off. So once you walk outside of the doors, feel free to put them on until you get the next building. Clothing or other gear with inappropriate slogans that include obscene, vulgar, suggestive messages, inconsistent with school standards. No advertising the use of tobacco, alcohol, or drugs. And students, it's funny that y'all wear these shirts and you think that we don't know what you're talking about or what the shirt's trying to say. We understand, and we're going to have you correct that. Shirts, t-shirts, or blouses with the sleeves cut so the opening goes down the sides of the bodies. This is for boys and girls. Full face paint, including tattoos or paint on the body. Now, I know we have school spirit days that we will work around with some of this, but you cannot just wear full face paint to school any day you want.